Personality traits. So there's another huge factor that can make or break a company. So again, when you want to start off a new company, you want to be focused in the right direction, you really have to figure out what does it take. So in these few minutes, we'll try to get you to understand what is it that you need to be able to have. What traits you must have. So again, we divided them into five brackets, five categories: who you are, how you operate, your guiding principles, your view of others, and your skills. As you can see, the woman here in these slides, same person, same face, but making all these different expressions. It's obviously this is we can understand it's the same person. It's not different people making all these different expressions. Similarly, how you are, how your expression, how your handling are in different cases, they completely are they vary as well with the same level of variation. So let's see what they are, and for all of them, let's figure out what are the common things that you must be challenging that yourself to figure out. For example, let's look at the very first one: who you are. Are you a compassionate person? When someone comes to you with a problem, do you try to solve the problem? Are you a lifelong learner? Are you disciplined? Do you always follow through? Are you a risk taker? Are you a self starter? Are you visionary? Do you stay focused on the future and not on the past? If something bad has happened, yes, too bad that it happened, but then we took our lessons, we learned from it, and we have moved on. So now we are on to the next phase, to the next project. We got to be focused on that. Are you focused on the future and not as much on the past? Now look at all these 7 or 8 points, and look at them again, and think for yourself that what if you don't have any of these things? What if you're not a problem solver? What if you're not a long-term learner? Or what if it's really difficult for you to learn a new skill or a new trait or a new piece of knowledge? Imagine the challenge of this would be that a business that constantly is expected to evolve, things are subjected to change on a regular basis, and when things change, we are supposed to react with it. If you don't react in real time when things are happening, then you're setting yourself at a disadvantage. So all of these items here, the strong recommendation here is, even though they're not absolutely must-have, critical and crucial in every case, but these are the areas that you must be aware of. If you are not a risk taker, let's just focus on that for a moment. Risk taker being the ability to take a risk is the direct relationship to your confidence in what you're setting out to do. So if you are about to start a new venture, but you say that you are hesitant to sign off on that just because you are not basically a risk taker, it means that the information that you've got about the new project is not complete. Once you have got all the details that you really needed to have to operate, and you're really in a position to execute, you've got people around you who are willing to run the ball, take the ball and run with it, you are really in a much better position. It's not a blind shot. So even though you're not a risk taker, but you cannot forever be sitting on the sidelines and not venture in. So again, this one area that you really must understand. So again, if as long as you're aware of what your limitations are, you should then work towards finding a way to to counter those. Let's now switch to how you operate. Are you a perfectionist? Even though it's a great attribute to have in a person or an individual or even in a business owner, but we can see how where it could lead. The excessive obsession with being a perfectionist, it could mean that you are so focused on taking this one project and until it becomes 100%, that you might lose out on the other projects. They may not be on your front burner as long as you are focusing on that one item. So again, being a perfectionist is really important, but so is the next one, which is paying attention to details and figuring it out where you're falling short. How good are you? Point number three. How good are you in compartmentalization? This is truly a key. If you've got something that's affecting you in your mind, you really cannot function. If you are if you're able if you don't move from topic to topic, and you stay focused on what's bothering you, you really have to switch gears oftentimes, and oftentimes in the same meeting, in the same conversation, and go from a new project to an execution of an existing project to really figure out what's really happening. So you must be able to compartmentalize and move from topic to topic. Similarly, in the previous slide also we talked about, are you a multitasker, or do you focus on one thing at a time? As a business owner, you can be certain that you'll be getting hit by from 15 different directions all at the same time, and that's all before lunch. So how would you deal with them? Obviously this goes hand in hand with being able to compartmentalize the previous point. We might think that we are good in multitasking, but in reality humans are poor in multitasking. We can only focus on one thing at a time. But the idea of this point here is that focus on one thing, pick one thing up, complete it, bring it to a point of completion, and then put it away, and then move on to the next item. Don't have unfinished projects all over the place. But again, this is more of a discipline. This whole idea how you operate is about your discipline as a human, as an individual. Because if you make these shortcuts in your personal life, the impact on you would be minimal, just about you. But now when you're about to start a business, then the impact of this could be pretty substantial. So you really want to be certain that you are focusing in the right direction, and you develop the right skills and the right mindset and the right attitude. And finally, are you willing to make mistakes? You understand, right, that when you start a business, things will not always go according to the plan. Things will be all over the place, and yes, you'll be making mistakes, and you'll have to own up to the mistakes. You'll have to acknowledge. You might be embarrassed before your employees, before your customers. When you open up, when you actually say, when you actually mean you're sorry, and you're not just saying this just to satisfy someone and to pacify a situation. We all make mistakes. We all have to be willing to make mistakes, because without them we don't learn, without them we don't go forward. But you really must sit down and think to yourself that, how do you react to mistakes? Let's keep going. So as an individual, what are your guiding principles? Again, what you do in your personal life, your business also is a reflection of that. Your views on ethics, on integrity, your views on your focus on solution, not quite dealing with the intricacies of the solution, of the journey itself, but you're focusing on the solution, on what you get when you achieve whatever you're setting out to do. Really critically important, right? As we can well imagine. Forming relationships. Are you all about that? Relationship with your employees, with your vendors, with your suppliers, with your customers, right? The better the relationships are, the win-win situations in these relationships, the better everyone comes out of these encounters. Are you a competitor? It's great to be a competitor. It's great to be driven by what's happening outside the company, and so you're able to steer your ship in the right direction at the right speed, and really to make something happen. If you don't care about competition, that could be the other extreme. That could again mean that you might just be slowing down your growth. You might be at a static situation, just because you're not even aware of what the competition out there. Let's keep going. Perseverance, playing the long game. Again, a strategy that every business owner must have. It's not about the successes on a day-to-day basis, or week-to-week basis, or even month-to-month basis. There will be ups and downs. We know this and we acknowledge this. But if you're playing the long game, then you would be okay with the typical ups and downs, as long as we are able to mitigate them, as long as we follow the risk, and we understand what it is that we should be focusing on, and we stay focused on those areas. That's all good. But we've got to be here in the long haul. Let's keep going. How do you view other people? You're trusting, but you're willing to verify. A really, really important trait. Everyone is intelligent, you strongly believe, and we can learn from everyone. If you don't have this, if you don't truly in your heart believe in this point that everyone is intelligent and we can learn from everyone, then what happens is that we invariably start looking down upon people. We start treating them with disrespect just because we are better as compared to them. We have got better insight, better knowledge, better tools, better whatever, fill in the blank. We are better than them. We don't have to learn from them. We are more eloquent, we speak better, we have got more command over the subject matter. If you start doing this and you start ignoring what your employees are telling you, what your customers are telling you, what your suppliers are telling you, then again you're putting yourself at a huge disadvantage. So, so we strongly believe that you start believing in this fact that everyone is intelligent and we can learn from everyone. Everyone is honest. Do you believe that everyone is honest, or are you always looking at every relationship, every person with a critical eye, with a with a very strong thinking that they're about to stab you on the back? Again, we're clearly not saying that you let down of the guard and you're not constantly be looking out for what's in your best interest. But how do you begin the relationship? It has to be on trust. Yes, trust but verify. Sure, I understand that, but you got to feel that everyone is honest and everyone deserves to be treated kindly. If you do, then you're moving in the right direction. And the last character trait bracket is your skills. How well do you understand data? How well do you understand technology? Now, clearly, if you are deficient in these areas, hopefully you have a partner who can supplement that and who will have a better skill, better understanding than you do. Why is understanding data important? Everything we do is about numbers. Everything we do is not just about performance and about performance measurement. It's about percentages. It's about trying to determine what your data is telling you, trying to find trends in them. And if you're not very well versed in this terminology, you don't have the right tools. You may have the right tool, but you're not just using them. So again, really important traits, especially in this day and age. Are you a problem solver? Do you know what the critical path is? Are you critical path? How do you do your critical path analysis on a regular basis, especially when you're dealing with logistics and the flow of things between different teams? There are always points where something could get stuck. Now, we all fully understand that not every blockage will potentially impact your final delivery deadline, but there are some areas where that would, and those areas are your critical paths. So, are you aware of what they are and how you should be focusing on them? For those critical paths, have you built the contingencies in your processes to be able to function those, to be able to smooth any obstacles that you might have? Similarly, situational awareness. How good are you in trying to read a situation? Your employees, for example, having an argument with a customer, and you just step into the situation, you saw them from a distance, and now you're going towards them. Just by looking at the two of them talking to each other, by looking at the body language, by looking at what items they're carrying, by looking at how they are talking with each other. This is a situation that you're now jumping into, and people expect you to do the right thing by them. Are you able to do that? For that, you really must be able to be a good reader, to be able to read the situation and figure out what your best options are. You must be a quick thinker in your mind to figure out in this particular situation what is it that the customer requires for you to do. You must also know as a business owner what is it that you must be willing to do, willing to concede. Remember, when someone is reporting a problem to you, and this is also this presentation that's available to you for your consumption on customer service. When someone brings something to your attention, this interaction is no longer about maximizing your profit. A problem has already happened, whether it's an actual problem or a perceived problem or whatever it is, whether you're responsible for it or ultimately it's not even your responsibility. The fact is there's a problem that has happened and the problem is now being attached to you and they're looking at you to solve it. You've got to be able to solve it. The last point here on this slide, your comprehension and ability to explain. Not every employee, not at every level, is aware of what's happening to the other levels and other parts of the organization. But sometimes this contextual information is very relevant and important for them. Can you explain it to them in plain language, so they are fully on board, so they can fully understand what's going on? Sometimes failure to see the big picture causes issues and causes problems, causes people to take shortcuts or to make assumptions which may not be in our best interest in the long run. So for you to be able to fully understand, that's the first part of it, your comprehension level. But then for you to be able to take that information and drill it down to a point where you can explain it to anyone up and down the management chain at whatever level you're dealing with, and use the right language, whether it's the technology language or a finance language or execution level language or specific action that somebody has to perform. You must be able to do that. Okay, so in these few minutes that we took of your time, we just went over the personality traits that you really must have to be a business owner, to be a successful business owner. So why are these traits really important? Why is it crucial for you to answer these questions honestly? This is really important for you to understand that your honesty is not really to put on a positive face outside to the world. This is really for you to understand what your limitations are when you're going through the exercises that we perform with our customers. And yeah, they could be brutal sometime. And at the end of the day, then analysis, it could be it may not it could be ugly, it could be harsh, they may not like it. But the point of this is we're trying to bring something out to your knowledge. We're trying to highlight an area or two or three where you don't have the command. And the reason why we're trying to do this is not to put you down, definitely, but trying to get you to understand that if you don't stay focused on these areas, if you're not even aware of these deficiencies in you, then you are setting yourself at a disadvantage point. We want you to succeed, so we want you to be aware of what the areas are where you might need some help. And once you know, then yeah, bring in some help. Hopefully you'll partner with someone who can complement you and your skills and your background and your personality traits. So in between all of you as a group, you're checking every box. But you must really be at the ultimate level, be aware of these challenges. So as we said earlier, what if you don't have one of these required traits? Then you seek them. Whether it's more learning to be required, whether it's using the right terminology, the right language, the right communication language, whether you learn that, or you bring in partners to help you fill in on the gaps. Okay, let's keep going.